Hello everyone, welcome to my video. Today I will be walking you through some Python programming exercises that I recently completed. We will go over different concepts like comments, error handling, variable assignments and much more. By the end of this video, I hope you will have a better understanding of these Python basics. So let's dive into it. So here is our first exercise. For the first exercise, I worked on adding comments to my Python code. Comments are really useful for explaining what your code does. Let me show you an example. Here, I have written a simple program that prints my name and I have used both single line and multi-line comments to explain the different parts. So this is a single line comment explaining that the following lines print my name, and this is a multi-line comment describing the overall purpose of this code. It helps if someone else reads this code in the future. Now let's move on to our second exercise. So here's our second exercise, which is error identification. So in this exercise, I tackled with error identification. I was given a piece of code that had some intentional errors and my job was to identify and correct them. So let's go through the errors. So here's the code with errors. The first issue was a missing parenthesis in the print statement. This is a syntax error because a Python interpreter accepts closing parenthesis to make the end of the function cell. Next, we had a zero division error. Zero division by zero is mathematically undefined, so Python throws an error. To fix this, we can avoid dividing by zero or use error handling, which I will show you later. Lastly, there was an index error in this list. We tried to access an index that does not exist. Python lists are zero indexed, meaning that index 3 is out of range here. So here's the correct code. So here's the final correct code with the output. Now let's move on to our third exercise, which is variable assignment. So in this task, I work on assigning values to different variables. It's a fundamental concept in programming to store data in variables, and Python makes it easy. Here I assigned my name as a string to the variable name. My age is stored as an integer in the variable age. My height, which is a decimal value, is stored as a float in the variable height. Lastly, I assigned a boolean value to indicate whether I am a student or not. By using variables, we can easily manage and change data in a program. Here is the final output of my code. Now let's move on to our fourth exercise, which is descriptive values variable names. In this task, I worked on improving the readability of my code by using descriptive variable names. It is important to name variables based on what they represent so that your code is more understandable. So here's a simple multiplication of two numbers using non-descriptive variables names like a and b. While this works, but it is not very clear what the variable represents. So here's my code with descriptive valuable names. Now here is the same code rewritten with more meaningful names. Instead of a and b, I use length and width to calculate the area of triangle. This makes it much easier to understand the purpose of the variable. So here is the answer of our calculation. Now let's move on to our fifth exercise, which is numeric types and operations. In this task, I explored various numeric operations in Python. Let's start with some simple arithmetic. Here is I am adding two integers together which gives me the result. Next I am subtracting a float from an integer. Also I have multiplied a float by a complex number. But the things get tricky when dividing by 0. If you try to divide a number by 0, Python will raise an error. Let me show you how I handle that. So here I use try except block to catch the zero division error. This is a great way to prevent your program from crashing. So here you can see there's no error written. Now let's move on to our last exercise. Second last exercise, built-in functions. So for this task, I use some of Python's built-in functions like else, max, and min to perform operation on list of numbers. The abs function gives us the absolute value removing any negative signs, and the max function returns us the largest number in the list, while the min function gives us the smallest number. Built-in function makes it easy to perform common operation without having to write additional code. Here is our final output of this code. Now let's move on to our last exercise, arithmetic operations. Finally, I created a simple calculator program. It asks the user to input two numbers and then select an operation: addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. Here I am using additional statement to determine which operation the user has chosen, and for division I included error handling to prevent the program from crashing if someone tries to divide by 0. Handling errors gracefully is an essential part of writing robust programs. So here is the output of our code. And that brings us to the end of the exercises. Through these tasks, I gained a deeper understanding of Python's fundamental concepts, including error handling, variable assignments, and using built-in functions. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with any questions. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.